Lesson 7, A Visit to Cambridge. This is the story of a meeting between two disabled people. Both were extraordinary in their fields. Stephen Hawking is a great scientist, though he suffers from paralysis. He is confined to a wheelchair and he can speak only with the help of a computer. Firdaus Kanga, the writer and journalist from Mumbai, was born with very weak and easily breakable bones. He too moves around in a wheelchair. He meets Hawkins in England. The two had discussed how the so called normal people should look at the disabled. The writer Firdaus was on a walking tour through Cambridge to UK. His guide told him about Stephen Hawking, who was occupying Newton's chair at the university. But Hawkins was a disabled fellow. He wrote A Brief History of Time, one of the best sellers. Firdaus phoned Hawking that he was from India and wanted to meet him and write about his travels in Britain. Hawking agreed to see him for half an hour. The thought of meeting somebody like him in a wheelchair gave Firdaus courage. Both of them were disabled. Their bodies were disintegrating. Hawking had a little switch in his hand. He was able to move his finger to find the words on his computer. He felt exhausted very often, but his mind was brilliant and bubbling with thoughts. Firdaus remarked that people often thought that disabled people were unhappy people. Hawking said that it was an amusing attitude. He admitted that he felt annoyed when another disabled person came and disturbed him in his work. The body, in his case, was just a box for the brilliant mind and soul. He did not see anything good about being disabled. Seeing the poor condition of the great scientist, Firdaus felt great relief even though he could neither walk nor even stand. Hawking did not like the idea of the disabled Olympics. He thought that it was a waste of time. His advice to the disabled people was that they should concentrate on what they were good at. Hawking made Firdaus spend 1 hour instead of half an hour with him, have tea, and see his garden. He went about in his motorized wheelchair. Then the time came to depart. Firdaus got up to take leave of him. He could neither kiss Hawking nor cry, but he was convinced that the paralytic scientist was a symbol of bravery. यह पाठ दो विकलांग व्यक्तियों के मिलने का विवरण देता है। दोनों ही अपने अपने क्षेत्र में असाधारण थे। स्टीफन हॉकिंग एक महान वैज्ञानिक है, यद्यपि वह पक्षाघात से प्रभावित है। वह अपनी पहियों वाली गाड़ी में ही आ जा पाते हैं। वह एक कंप्यूटर की मदद से ही अपनी बात कह सकते हैं। फिरदौस कांगा मुंबई स्थित लेखक और पत्रकार है। वह जन्म से ही कमज़ोर तथा भंगुर हड्डियों वाले हैं। वह भी व्हील कुर्सी पर चल फिर जा पाते हैं। उनकी हॉकिंग से भेंट इंग्लैंड में होती है। ये दो महान हस्तियां विचार विमर्श करते हैं कि सामान्य लोगों को का विकलांगों के प्रति क्या दृष्टिकोण होता है। फिरदौस कैम्ब्रिज होते हुए इंग्लैंड का सैर करने गए थे। उनके गाइड ने उन्हें स्टीफन हॉकिंग के बारे में बताया, जो विश्वविद्यालय में न्यूटन की जगह पर काम कर रहे थे। परंतु हॉकिंग विकलांग व्यक्ति थे। उन्होंने समय का इतिहास नामक पुस्तक लिखी थी, जो सर्वाधिक बिकने वाली पुस्तकों में एक थी। फिरदौस ने हॉकिंग को फ़ोन करके बताया कि वह भारत से आए हैं और उनसे मिलना चाहते हैं एवं इंग्लैंड यात्रा पर पुस्तक लिखना चाहते हैं। हॉकिंग ने उन्हें आधा घंटे का समय वार्तालाप के लिए दिया। उस जैसे व्हीलचेयर पर बैठे व्यक्ति से मिलने के विचार से फिरदौस का हौसला बढ़ गया। दोनों ही असहाय थे। उनके शरीर का दिनन-दिन क्षय हो रहा था। हॉकिंग के हाथों में एक छोटा सा स्विच था। वह अपनी अंगुली चलाकर कंप्यूटर का उपयुक्त शब्द खोज लेते थे। अक्सर ही वह थक जाते थे, पर उनका मस्तिष्क प्रतिभावना तथा विचारों से भरपूर था। फिरदौस ने कहा कि लोग अक्सर यह सोचते हैं कि विकलांग व्यक्ति दुखी रहते हैं। हॉकिंग ने इसे हास्यास्पद धारणा कहा। उन्होंने स्वीकार किया कि उनसे मिलने जब कोई दूसरा विकलांग आता है तथा उनके काम में विघ्न डालता है तो वह उन्हें नागवार लगता है। उनके लिए शरीर तो एक डब्बा है जिसमें उनका तेज दिमाग तथा आत्मा बसती है। विकलांग होने में उन्हें कोई अच्छी बात नहीं लगती थी। इस वैज्ञानिक की ऐसी खराब स्थिति देखकर फिरदौस को बहुत राहत मिली। यद्यपि वह स्वयं भी न चल सकता था न खड़ा हो सकता था। हॉकिंग को विकलांगों की खेल प्रतियोगिता का विचार भी पसंद नहीं आया। विकलांगों को उनकी यही सलाह थी कि अपने उस काम पर ध्यान दो जिसमें तुम कुशल हो। हॉकिंग ने फिरदौस को आधा घंटे के बजाय 1 घंटे तक रोके रखा। उन्हें चाय पिलाई तथा अपना बगीचा दिखाया। अपनी स्वचालित तिपहिया कुर्सी पर बैठकर वह घूमे। 1 घंटा बीत गया। फिरदौस उनसे विदा लेते उठ खड़े हुए। वह हॉकिंग को न तो चूम सकते थे न ही अपना दुख व्यक्त कर सकते थे, पर उन्हें यह विश्वास हो गया था कि वह पक्षाघातग्रस्त व्यक्ति वीरता का प्रतीक है। Question: Did the prospect of meeting Stephen Hawking make the writer nervous? If so, why? Did he at the same time feel very excited? If so, why? Answer: The writer felt nervous because he was doubtful whether he would be granted the interview. He felt excited at the same time because he had been there to see Professor Hawking for half an hour. Question: Guess the first question put to the scientist by the writer. Answer: The writer's first question might be about Hawking's disability and how he had accepted it. Question: Stephen Hawking said, I have had no choice. Does the writer think there was a choice? What was it? Answer: Living creatively with the reality of his weakened body was a choice. Question: I could feel his anguish. What could be the anguish? Answer: Professor Hawking's mind was full of great ideas, but he couldn't speak them out clearly and forcefully. Question: What endeared the scientist to the writer so that he said he was looking at one of the most beautiful men in the world? Answer: Professor Hawking's one-way smile. Question: Read aloud the description of the beautiful man. Which is the most beautiful sentence in the description? Answer: The line is, before you like a lantern whose walls are worn so thin, you glimpse only the light inside, is the incandescence of a man. Question: If the lantern is the man, what would its walls be? What is housed within the thin walls? What general conclusion does the writer draw from its comparison? Answer: The walls of the lantern in Hawking's case were his skeleton-like physical structure. The glow of the eternal soul was housed within the thin walls of body. The writer draws conclusion that the eternal soul is more important than the body. Question: What is the scientist's message for the disabled? Answer: Professor Hawking's message for the disabled is that they should concentrate on what they are good at. It is foolish to try to copy the normal people. Question: Why does the writer refer to the guitar incident? Which idea does it support? Answer: The writer spent many years trying to play a big Spanish guitar. One night he loosened the strings joyfully. This incident supports the idea that the disabled people should practice only what they are good at. Question. The writer expresses his great gratitude to Stephen Hawking. What is the gratitude for? Answer. The author felt much inspired after meeting Mr. Stephen Hawking. Therefore, he felt grateful to him. Question. Who is Stephen Hawking? Answer. Stephen Hawking is a great scientist and astrophysicist, but he is disabled. He has written a book, A Brief History of Time. He can express himself only through a computer. Question. What took the author Firdaus to England? Why did he wish to see Hawking? Answer. Firdaus Kanga visited Britain in order to write a book about his travels. He himself could move only in a wheelchair. On the advice of his guide, Kanga planned to meet the most brilliant and completely paralyzed astrophysicist Hawking in Cambridge. Question. How did Kanga fix the interview with Hawking? Answer. Kanga phoned Hawking and requested the scientist assistant to arrange the interview. He asked for 10 minutes but he got half an hour. Question. What advice do people usually give to the disabled? Was Hawking brave by choice? Answer. The people generally advise the disabled to be brave. Hawking admitted truthfully that he hadn't been brave. In fact, he had had no choice. Question. What advice does the scientist give to the handicapped? Answer. He advises the disabled people to concentrate on what they are good at. They should not try to copy the normal people. Question. Write about Stephen Hawking and Firdaus Kanga. Answer. Both of them are disabled people. Stephen Hawking is one of the greatest scientists of our time. He suffers from paralysis that confines him to wheelchair and allows him to speak only by punching buttons on a computer which speaks for him in a machine-like voice. Firdaus Kanga is a writer and journalist. He lives and works in Mumbai. He was born with brittle bones that tended to break easily. When he was a child like Hawking, Kanga moved around in a wheelchair. Why did the writer feel guilty talking to Stephen Hawking? Answer. The writer felt guilty every time he spoke to Stephen Hawking because by doing this he forced him to respond. There he, means Hawking, was tapping at the little switch in his hand, trying to find the words on his computer with the only bit of movement left to him, his long, pale fingers. His eyes would often shut in frustrated exhaustion. The writer could feel his anguish, but he had no option. He had gone to his house to talk to him on certain points.